Oscar, run!
Carl, you're spitting on me. That's all you're doing. You're spitting on me. There's a lot of spit in my face. That's how we start every episode. Sort of get in the mood.
That's right, yeah.
All good critics get spat on and then go straight into the trenches. My name's Oscar.
My name's Carl.
And this is Who Would Watch This?
Fun fact, Roger Ebert loved being spat on by Siskel.
Oh yeah, Siskel would just spit on his little glasses, step on him, and just got it. And that's why they thrived, huh?
I wonder if we should just start ripping off the openings from Siskel and Ebert, like word for word, and just see if nobody notices.
Oh no, I'm talking like the tile sequence, like them in that CGI background, like holding like the Chicago Times. I'm trying to get to bus, a movie film, and then both of us in a cinema back to back. Welcome to Who Would Watch This, the podcast where we watch a film, chat about a film, and then try and figure out who would watch this.
Today, we're talking about Twister, which currently has a 3.2 on Letterboxd, a 6.5 on IMDb, and a 63% on Rotten Tomatoes. Oscar, what's the plot?
Two storm chasers. Disregard, there's multiple storm chasers, are on the brink of a divorce. Never mind, I did not read before this. Two storm chasers are on the brink of a divorce, must work together to create an advanced weather alert system by putting themselves in a crosshairs of extremely violent tornadoes.
Wow. All right, I'd show up for that at the cinema.
Oh, yeah, and everyone did.
Yeah, cracking cool 500, like nearly, I think it's $495 or something like that.
And with inflation, that could be $1 trillion.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know how to do inflation.
I looked it up, it's about $990.3 million. So nearly $1 billion hit back in 96.
The despicable me of tornadoes and 1996.
The Oppenheimer of 1996, if you will. Crazy to think Oppenheimer's made as much money as Twister.
Yeah, a film everyone was like, this is the biggest moment in film history. We all come together. And Twister's is like, we're going to shut it out and it made this much money.
We just sort of did it.
Yeah.
You know? How does that feel, Nolan? We just sort of fucking made Twister. You had to put so much effort into Oppenheimer and we just put cows. You know, there's just cows everywhere.
Carl, before we get twisted up in this film on account
of, did you work on that for a while?
Couple of days. Was that or blown away or blown off by the film? But we're trying to go for a G rating.
Yeah.
We're cutting down that blueness of our podcast, you know?
We've got a lot of blue. A lot of the people that write in are like, yeah, it's getting a bit blue.
We're
getting a bit foul.
We're going green this day. Before we get into that, should we go back to last week before we'd seen the film? Huh?
I would love nothing more than to go back to before we had seen the film and we tried to figure out who would watch it.
To watch this.
Who would watch this?
Who would watch this?
Who would watch this? Who would watch it? Oscar?
Yes, Carl.
We are doing such a quick turnaround because we had a lateness on getting Megalopolis up. And we do apologize.
We do apologize that we're breaking a streak. We're pretty much useless now.
That's right. We've lost all credit and prestige, I would say.
I just burnt my Oscar, you know. I just melted it. Melted down to a Grammy, which is... Jesus.
Had a lot of weird social media stuff that sort of felt like mum's looking for you. Like vibes. Like they were just like, people are like, what's going on?
Oh, dead silence? Well, they're dead. They're dead. Yeah. We got Megalopolis. It was a bit longer, so that it stretched over.
It feels like you're getting two, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of. 2:45.
But we're back in a big way. We've been sick. It's been an absolute nightmare.
I gotta tell you, editing Megalopolis, I got so sick of hearing the word. Like it was, I remember thinking when we was like doing the episode, being like Megalopolis. But just even editing it, I was like, I fucking hate this word. Like I hate this word so much. It's so stupid. Anyway, but yeah, we're doing a quick turnaround.
Yes,
Twisters is coming out soon.
Yes, Glenn Powell is on the rise, like a tornado. You know, I don't know how tornadoes work, so I assume they rise.
That's
hot
right,
air rises.
Yeah, and Anthony Ramos. Was in Rise of the Beast, Transformers. So you might say he is on a downwind.
That's the peak of filming. Like, oh man, you really like schlocked it out, huh? For Twister, huh? Rise of the Beast was your Citizen Kane, and what have you got to show for it?
Do you
Nothing.
know what the ending of that movie is?
I assume they've risen.
He becomes a Transformer and then gets recruited by G.I. Joe.
Whoa! I guess they are in the same universe, aren't they?
I guess.
Yeah.
It was weird.
I say same universe. I guess they were just toys at the same time.
Yeah, because Chris Hemsworth signed on to be the lead of that next one.
Optimus Prime or GI?
No, both, because their next one's a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover
Damn,
film.
I've heard nothing of this, and I feel like...
Why would you? Who cares?
For kids, like it's gonna sneak up on us. Like
I
it
guess
made $1
not.
billion.
Do you remember when we were watching If and that Transformers 1 trailer was on and we were all like, what the fuck is this?
The little 5-year-olds in the audience were like, "That's great, Carl. We're getting."
Way out.
We're
Anyway,
getting
look,
blown away.
Twisters is coming out.
Yes.
It feels like there's a little bit of internet interest in it. You know, I think people are keen. I love the director. He made Minari. So it feels like a pretty interesting leap to go from Minari to Twisters.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Twisters is good for the sake of cinema. I have a feeling it might not be good, so it could be good for the sake of our podcast.
Yes. Oh, cute.
But that's why this one's earing on the rotten side of things, and so I think it'd be good to jump out in front of it and get in on it. And I've never seen it.
No,
I've
I've
seen Twisters.
never seen it.
Twister.
I know it made a lot of money, and I guess you can't look at it. I guess Bill Paxton's
Sort of
big-
famous.
Yeah.
Sort of a famous film.
I guess just everyone saw it, and I guess it's
Yeah.
sort of like, well, that was it.
It was probably like the early beginnings of those like high-tech disaster movies that were like both CGI and practical effects.
Yeah, like the Roland
Roland
Emmerich.
Emmerich?
Yeah.
Do you know what I found out about Roland Emmerich?
What?
Is he directed the Stonewall movie.
Stonewall?
He directed a movie about Stonewall.
Well, it was a disaster.
And I was like looking at it and I was like, wow, it does
I
not have
would
good
love-
reviews. And I was just like, who entrusted him to make such an important part of
I
queer
would-
history?
I would love if the actual like the throwing of the stone was just massive. It was, and that was a good
Fucking
2 hours.
meteor at the
Oh,
dinosaurs.
yeah.
Like, just
That
like,
joke of like, did anyone die at Stonewall? He made people die at
He
Stonewall.
made-
It was a battle to be seen. Oh my god, the rocks were flying. Great stuff.
anyway, it does feel like
Did that make a lot of money?
Nope. It has like a 5.2 on IMDb.
Damn.
So, you know.
I guess we'd do it, but then no one's heard of it.
I didn't even know it got made. So yeah, you know, it's like the beginning of those of what like
Disaster movies.
Day
yeah.
After Tomorrow and 2012 and all those movies sort of start
Yeah.
rolling out from this new phase of disaster movie. And I feel like we haven't had them in a while, but I love a disaster film.
I feel like he grabbed all of them. I feel like there was every like 2 years, everyone's diet was like, we can take one of these every couple of years. And he was
Yeah.
like, nom, 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 nom. And now it's been monopolized. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping this new one can kind of capture it a little bit.
I think it will be fun to watch a movie that's not the world ending and just a localized disaster.
Yeah.
Because I think his movies got so like Moonfall and I don't think he directed it, but he might have produced it, but Geostorm, where it's like the world's actually going to just combust.
Yeah.
And
Even 2021, like there was pretty much the whole. Like, I think all of China was gone.
yeah,
Wiped off.
2012, everything just. I would love us to do 2012 on the podcast. It's
Yeah.
so long,
It's so fucking.
but I'll
long.
also throw out, I love that film.
It's so great. I love the arcs. The little kid stops bedwetting. 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Do you know that movie has like a 5 something on IMDb, and in my head that's like an 8 out of 10
That's
film.
fucked off. Even a child going.
I'm pretty sure
don't be ridiculous.
I just loved 2012, and I have not seen it in many years. I'd love to do it. John
Carl-
Cusack, the lead of a movie.
I remember him
Silly.
well. Anyway, Carl, who would watch Twister?
Yeah, look, I have no idea. All I know is Bill Paxton.
Yep.
I know Helen Hunt is in it. And I'm excited for those two, I guess. I know the poster really well.
Well, the tornado one. The
Yeah,
little house?
don't you feel like you've seen that sort
Yeah.
of weird exposed
The font,
poster?
I feel like I know the font
Yeah,
quite
the
well.
font's pretty iconic.
Yeah, I don't know if people parody it or something, but I just
Yeah.
feel like it's quite popular.
So yeah, and I mean, I guess it's just who's it going to be for? People that love destruction. I feel like it's one of those movies where you're only going for the destruction, right?
I guess so. I guess it seems like it spawned. I hope storm people. I guess chasing storms
People
wasn't a
that
thing.
love storms.
And now, like, this is your film. I guess if you were, 10 when this came out, and you're now a storm chaser, this must be your favorite film, or at least top 4.
Just when you're getting those Letterboxd interviews, top 4. Twister.
Twister was a lot on me, and then I guess pretty much Godfather 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
So
just fill in
yeah.
those other ones.
Yep.
Oh, I should probably do something more artsy. The Red Shoes. And Godfather 2 and 3.
Carl, I don't want to spoil my review already, but I think I was blown away-ish by this film.
You said you weren't going to use that gag.
Yeah, I have. Because I was blown away on account. I was blown off by
Wow.
Twister. Yeah.
Twister
yeah.
got amongst it.
Yeah. It's, let's get into it,
Yeah,
huh?
let's talk about it. I'll not to spoil my review, but it really was a wind in the willows. Huh? Does that make sense?
This film was a Toad.
I'd give anything to go to Toad Manor. What a reckless driver Toad is. I could go deep into Winter the Willow's lore. I shan't.
I simply
though.
can't. I really only know the Toad.
You can't? What about Mole?
Who the hell is that? How am I going to know the characters?
What about the
I'm not a
weasels?
fan. I'm not a fan. Anyway, Carl, let's get started into Twister, okay? We start. It's rural somewhere in America. We're not American. It could be, I don't know, New York?
It's a hell of a town.
Yeah. Now, we get shown a big tornado taking out this family house. Luckily, the dog makes it. Sadly, the father perishes.
I think we need to discuss a few things here.
Yes.
One, this looks great.
Yeah.
Practical effect-wise, looks great. Some of the CGI stuff, it's from the 1996. You got to give it a pass.
Yeah.
You know, it looks good for the time. But set-wise, this looks really cool. It's really atmospheric, I think, as an opening. We'll say it right now. Look, we know the dad's a good guy because he goes back for the dog.
Yeah.
You know, we go, that's a good dad, you know? But the thing that I don't understand in this scene is the door's rattling.
Yeah.
The dad goes up to hold onto the door, and then it rips off the door and the dad flies away.
Yes.
Now, the mum and the daughter are fine.
Yeah.
So why do you even bother to get up?
Okay, this is probably going to be the big chatting point. What is a tornado and how does it work?
Yeah, and why is it different to a hurricane and a cyclone? Is a tornado only the twister one? Is that the only one that twists?
I don't know. I feel like there's definitely either a boring scientific way. I'd hope and love to God if one goes left and one goes right. That would be fun.
That'd be great. Well, it probably does on the other side of the world. You know, they probably go a
Us
different way.
Australians, we're crazy. We love our right-loaded toilet. We don't really get any...
If you're a storm chaser and would like to educate us, please email us at what are we called?
Past UK. Who? Oh my God.
What the fuck are we called?
WWT podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Ask
WWT
podcast at gmail.com.
If you are at WWT?
Ask /: and then a bunch of series of numbers that we change each day.
Give us a call on 02.
Yeah, if you're
Sorry, we're in Australia. +61.
If you're a storm chaser, this episode is going to be quite frustrating for you. Or if you have Wikipedia handy with it.
Yeah, that's right. So here's the thing. Neither of us has done research.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about storms. I'm taking the entire film at face value that it's all fact.
And I gotta say, I kind of love this vibe of this film because it kind of goes, listen, the tornado's Jaws, and the tornado is going to be spiteful to certain people. It has sort of the power to suck whoever they really want, which I love.
I think the best thing that they should have done is she should have looked up at the storm and it should have said evil. And then you'd go, it's sentient.
Yes.
And the whole movie would make way more sense.
It would, because, I mean, we won't spoil it, but you want to conquer this tornado. And how do you conquer it?
I'd love them to kill the tornado.
I would like to kill the tornado.
Yeah. But yeah, I just don't understand why the dad dies here. Seems unnecessary.
Yeah, it does.
You know, I think if they were running to the shelter and he just got swept away at that moment,
great stuff.
You'd be like, oh yeah, I'd totally
goes
get
back
it.
for the dog. The dog's like, nah, man,
Yeah.
you leave it. Dog fights fine. Then dog.
Like
man
when
goes
Kevin
fly away.
Costner dies in
Do not spoil this for me. I'm not. Don't. Just and now I'm gonna be freaking out. Any Kevin Costner film I'm watching, I'm gonna think I'm done. You put me on edge for every Kevin Costner vehicle. I'm this close to finishing Yellowstone, and now you've ruined that for me. Carl, it's present day. I didn't realize
You can't say present day.
I can't.
You can't because it's 1996. This is one of the things that fucks me off in a movie is when they're like, and present day. And I'm like, well, it's not my present day.
Whoa,
state your year.
What do you mean? A tornado's just stolen a man from the end. You can't give a bit of leeway?
No, not at all.
I won't look in the film of where it was made.
I hate this in all movies.
That's fucked up.
Stop using present day. If I watch a movie that says present day and I go, oh, so it's now, then where are their cell phones? And they might be like, well, it's 1996. How am I meant to know that if it says present day at the bottom?
Surely they didn't think people in 25 years would still be watching Twister.
It needs to come up and it needs to say, day of shooting.
Yeah. Brackets. Here's the run sheet and the call sheet for the day. So Carl doesn't have a hissy fit. It's
So either way-
1996.
Either way, well, as far as I know, it's 2024.
It's 2024. We open on the computer from the 90s.
I know, so why don't they have proper computers? I'm going to poke holes all through it. It's present day.
I would like to chat about this scene because I think it's useless because we go to the NSSL. You know,
Oh yeah,
they really spell it out.
I
for
didn't
you.
even take a note on this. Can we start? This is, and I was already saying that we've got to give the CGI some leeway.
Yeah.
The worst effect though is that satellite above Earth.
Oh yeah,
and you're like, oh, is this from Lawnmower Man?
well, it's got that weird like Star Wars vibe, like like 2001, how they've like taken a photo of a model and then like done it like expertly crafted it. Whereas this one's like we took a picture on like I don't know whatever cameras were and sort of stick it to the film.
Yeah.
Looks bad. Looks
Yeah,
bad.
for sure. But please.
Well, I don't know what this, what the point of are these guys just to say, hey, there's a storm coming?
I think maybe, yeah. I think maybe to say that there's a big storm coming and it'll travel. Like,
But I don't get it because our like protagonists know that the storm's coming. So what is the point? Are they just to sort of see it a little bit just ahead so you know? I don't know.
it could potentially be a cut in to, because if they weren't there, you'd maybe wonder how they're getting all their information.
Oh, I see. Gotcha. So they're like downloading their data.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's a weird
Like
film.
if they weren't in it at all, because they're here now, and then I think they pop back in an hour later, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I think it's more just like where are all these people getting the information of the storms
Yeah, gotcha.
from?
I guess because at the time the internet it was present day, so no one knew what was going on. But is the internet blowing up and people knew? I don't know. It's very odd. But yeah, we get introduced to our characters. Now we're back in Missouri. I don't know.
Really quickly,
Yes.
we get the most beautiful sweeping shot over those fields. It's super long.
It's really
It
nice,
comes in
isn't
over the fields, and then a little plane flies by them, like in a line with the car. And then we go into the car, and they have a little bit of a conversation, and then we cut into the car.
Yeah.
but it looks great. It's just wide and beautiful.
The director's like a famous cinematographer. Kind of his career kind of died after the next film, which is Speed 2, which we've done on the podcast.
Which is a shame.
Yeah, because he's directed Speed and directed this and a few other things, but really that's it. It's crazy he had 2 mega hits and really didn't get another go at it.
Yeah, he got really into producing, it seems, because he did like, he's the DP on like Basic Instinct, Lethal Weapon 3.
Yeah, he's really like
Minority Report he produced.
he had a massive career like in the 80s. He had some really good stuff.
Who's the actual DP on this though? He did Zoom. He did Click.
Well, there you go. He's a good guy. He knows his stuff.
He also did. Hang on, sorry. That's camera operator. I retract. He did Left Behind. He was the DP on Left Behind. All the Diary of a Wimpy kid films.
Oh, well, so he knows his stuff.
Hot Tub Time Machine. Are We Done Yet? The 40-Year-Old Virgin. 51st Date. Secondhand Lions. And then you get into when he was doing good stuff, which is Space Cowboys, Girl Interrupted. He did do Speed 2 and Twister, of course, but he also did the Bridges of Madison County, and Unforgiven. And like Unforgiven's a very pretty looking movie, so
It looks pretty. Like that's the thing. The film looks nice, I think.
But maybe that's just like, again, I just don't know how to separate, like, is this movie lazy for the time but feel proactive in 2024?
I think they're going for a bit of spectacle here.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think the 90s was very much like, that's ridiculous, don't do that. I just think we're very much very used to just that hollow, like, studio inside, and then you're kind of like, what the hell? But this one's like, we're going to a field, it's the middle of Missouri, and we're going to get a camera on a helicopter.
Well, so it does, because I didn't know this until the credits rolled at the end, but one, it's a Spielberg-produced movie with Kathleen Kennedy, and 2, it's written by Michael Crichton.
Yeah.
And I would actually say it feels like high camp, low effort Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Like scientists chasing something destructive.
Yeah.
So I really do quite enjoy that aspect of the movie.
You can see at the time why people would be a bit like, oh, how dare they make so much money, and be a bit like, well, it's just them chasing storms.
Yeah.
How reductive. It's like, no, man, it's pretty vibey. Let's get into our characters. We get Bill Paxton. His name is Bill. It's very handy.
Do you like Bill Paxton?
I feel like generally, yeah, but I can't think why I like
So I
Bill
guess
Paxton.
you haven't seen Aliens?
Nope.
True Lies?
Oh, I haven't seen Aliens. I haven't seen True Lies. I've seen Alien.
He's the one that's like, game over, man.
Oh,
Game
he's good.
over.
God, he's
yeah.
good.
So he's Bill Paxton's been around for ages.
Yes.
He also directed, I think, that movie with Matthew McConaughey.
Mud?
No.
What, did you direct
It's
Mud?
never Mud.
Is he?
That's Mud with Tyler Sheridan.
We get introduced to his wife, his new wife. She's a therapist, yeah, Carl. It was the 90s. That's the worst thing you could be, I think.
Now let's get into her.
Yeah.
Her character.
She's our POV.
Yeah.
Because, again, there's a lot of storm terms being thrown around. The film really wants you to know that she's a stick in the mug and a bitch.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I think she's the only sane person in the film.
Completely sane. Completely
She's so sane.
So sane.
Crazy. The
We will
movie's
go
like,
into what this character goes through in, I guess, 8 hours, maybe less.
she literally has the worst day ever, like ever. Anyone like the no matter what, even a day somebody has died, they've had a better day than what she is.
Oh,
experiencing
100%.
in this
Death
movie.
is like release. This
Yeah.
woman does not get a break for hours.
She doesn't. She gets unrelenting stress, violence, thrills, and at the end of it, she is rewarded with the loss of a relationship. So
She has to pull the band-aid off. Now let's
does.
get...
She is the definition of a powerful person. Like,
God.
for her to not be broken by the end of the day, like,
Just her, like, introducing her. She's like, okay, I'm going to your ex-wife to get the divorce papers. I'm doing a favor to support you. You've introduced me to a bunch of gang members. I'm a bit scared.
yeah, we're going into your old workplace that misses you, probably resents what you've become.
I represent that.
Yeah, like, she is so brave to attend with him for support. That's just a good wife.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, she's
Newly
just a,
wife.
that's-
New wife
yeah,
as well.
Sorry, wife to be.
Yeah.
You know, that's just a good supportive person.
Yeah.
Like, if she was my friend, I reckon she'd be there for me.
Of course,
You
of
know?
course. And, like,
Ugh.
here's the thing. She sticks through a few storms. Now,
She
let's
does.
get into
yeah,
it.
she goes up to 3 before she taps out, and you go, "That's fair.
That's so
That's
fair
more than
enough.
I would have done." Crazy, she kept going.
Now we get introduced to Joe. She's Bill Paxton's ex-wife. She's a pretty hectic storm chaser, and then a band of characters. We've got Philip Seymour Hoffman playing sort of a stoner loser. There's a lot of other characters, great like character actors, kind of just filling the space.
They are, and it's exactly what was great about 90s movies is they were just like, let's just get character actors for all the background
Yeah.
people. You know,
Then other than these films now, it's sort of like 6 characters, and
Yeah.
they've all got a thing, and then there's just extras.
that's what's really fun about Jurassic Park, though. You know, it's Samuel Jackson and it's Newman and it's that like Weasley lawyer and all like, you know, like the
There's
the
like
side
a
characters
good
are
like
so-
3-4 mains, and then you got like a good 10 to bulk
Yeah.
it up, which is quite
Yeah,
nice.
we got Alan Ruck from Succession and Ferris
Yeah.
Bueller's Day Off. We've got a guy from Lost that I recognize.
There's a guy from Breaking Bad, or I think always son. You know the guy in the truck.
Yeah.
he's like selling the gun. That's
Yeah,
fun.
and we've also got our villain,
Yes.
Carrie Elways.
Oh, Carrie Elway. I absolutely love this.
I love Carrie Elways, and I
so
love him
good.
here.
Yeah.
and I wish he got more to do.
I do too. I was missing. I felt we were missing a scene with him. I just love. So pretty much, Bill Paxton's ex-wife, is just like, you fucking sold that man. You're a weatherman, which I guess is the equivalent of a storm. Like you sold
But
out,
we
man.
we find out that Bill Paxton has a power, and it is he can predict the weather.
Oh, he can predict the weather.
So
Not only
you-
predict the weather, he will look at a storm and go, "Yeah, left. We're not
Yeah.
going there."
He'll look at it and be like, "It's
I
gonna
don't-
kill 5."
We find out the mission is to get pretty much some data on tornadoes by throwing
It
some
seems
stuff in.
he knows.
He knows. He already knows.
It looks like he could, because we find out that they're going to send things into a storm, and it's only going to get them. Right now, the warning is 5 minutes, and they're going to change that to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
which I get can be a lot of time
course,
in
of
the
course.
storm, but he seems 15 minutes ahead of
It
everybody
seemed like
anyway.
he's like sort of gone back in the matrix and gone, okay, in a year's time, the tornado's going to come back for you, Joe, and you've got to run. You got to run. Bill Paxton has this amazing power. He's decided to be a weatherman, and he's a freaking corporate shill. But you know, who's even a bigger corporate shill? That's right,
Carrie Elways.
Carrie Elway.
The movie, I think, to me, is lacking Carrie Elways being a proactive villain. Like, I think he should almost sabatage. I think he should almost.
It's a weirdly paced film because
Yeah.
you kind of, I mean, it is just, the movie now starts, essentially.
Yeah.
Bill Paxton's like, listen, he goes, I'm not going back to storm chasing. Let me tell you, you colorful band of friends, Joe, I am not. I'm here to get divorce papers. Joe's like, hey, guess what? There's a storm. I think Bill Paxton literally elbows his wife in the face and goes, let me chase that storm.
Leaps into the storm.
God, it's a thrill I could never get rid of.
It's
They are
literally
back in.
It's the level of crack addiction.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
how into
It
that's how into
snaps just-
storms he
yeah,
is.
He's so into it. My God,
This is him, he's
this
like-
is just a T2. This is an F2 storm, Carl.
nothing.
Yeah.
You know, that's nothing to him.
For you guys at home, the scale is F1, F2, F3, F4, and Carl, I won't even mention the next one because it's too extreme.
It's so
even
goddamn
for
extreme.
storm chasers, they can't even mutter the name.
I think what's really weird is them being like, an F5 is the most intense thing ever, and only one person's ever lived it. But we saw it at the beginning, and it wasn't too bad. It was just that the
F3.
dad was an idiot.
Yeah.
It looked to me like an F3.
Yeah.
You know, not
Yeah.
an F5.
No, it's definitely a tornado.
It's definitely a tornado.
I'm not
Oh, it's
scared of
definitely not an F2.
Yeah.
But it's near F3.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even fucking dare let it touch the idea of being an F4.
I wouldn't even.
That storm thinks it's a 5. It could be a 4, but it should know it's a 3.
And quite frankly, with that much cockiness, it should be bumped down to an F2. It's an F2.
It seems like Helen Hunt's character is overcompensating. And she's just like, no, my dad would never die on an F3. It's like, bitch, your dad did die on an F3.
And she spends the rest of her life chasing an F5. Let me tell you.
I swear my dad died on an F5.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure he did.
Yeah,
All
sure.
right, Helen.
It didn't even take the dog. The house was fine.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
right.
We've seen F5s.
Yeah.
It would kill you.
Oh, look, I'm just going to throw it out there. Helen, your dad was a weak man. That's why he died. He didn't have what it took. I'll tell you right now. Look, I would have died in an F5, 100%. I would have kept that door closed in an F3.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, it's quite embarrassing that we're now chasing. This is our protagonist.
Yeah.
But anyway, Bill's back in a big way.
Yeah.
He's like, listen,
He's
honey,
so in.
we're not sharing cars. You go in someone else. You go in Philip Seymour Hoffman's car. I'm going with Joe. And guess what? Any chance I get, I'm gonna cuddle her. I'm gonna touch. I'm gonna canoodle.
Yeah. In fact, you know what? You're going to be able to listen to our entire conversation most of the
hell
film.
is this? How the hell does this work? I didn't realize it's the best scene in the world. They're chatting about, Joe and him are going, man, why didn't this work? This is ridiculous. He's like, I still think I've got this bug in me. And then it cuts to her in the car, and they're on open radio for the whole movie. And I'm talking, there's like 8 people who can listen to this conversation very intimate.
They're all munching popcorn, having none of them are talking to one another. It's like they only
well,
care
they're
about
storm
them.
chasers.
Yeah.
They're not going to be very chatty,
It's just like a live podcast. No wonder Philip Seymour Hoffman was excited. He was like, oh, finally, the entertainment's back. It's a long time out on the roads. I have nothing to listen
Alan
to.
Ruck's drama isn't much.
He's not going through
He doesn't
anything.
get anything crazy.
You did
right?
bring up one of the things that I did love.
Go on.
Well, actually, no. I mean, yeah, I guess I loved it. It's that every couple of scenes, it ends on being like, no, we're not doing that. Cut to them doing it. And it happens, they're like, we're not going to my aunt's. And it's like, well, this is my aunt. And it's like, no, we're not going to use our new car. This is our new car. Like, it was so funny. It kept happening. Like, it was like the writer's only way of progressing the story.
Yeah, it's like, well, irony's the best way to sort of jump ahead. Every cut's fun. I do love. So we get our first storm doing an F2. Him and Jonas are chasing this storm. Essentially, Jonas has got the corporate backing. It seems like these are just a couple of plucky guys who are doing it for the fun of it.
Feels like
and
they
the
should
corporate shills are spending big money on tornadoes.
So my favorite thing was they look at Carrie Elways and Bill Paxton basically looks at the camera and does just like a character breakdown and is like, he's in it for the money, not the science.
Is he in it? Are they in it for the science?
I guess so. I guess they want to help people. But it's like, if they're both going to get the same information, then they will just help people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They both.
Yeah.
I do love the fact.
It seems like Carrie's just government funded.
Yeah.
Of them to like, let's figure this out. And go, those fucking hacks.
You idiots.
Freaking hacks.
You should have ownership of it and then sell it to the government for big money. For all we know, Bill Paxton's even more greedy than Carrie.
Oh, the second he gets that, he's like, right, make it privatized. We're gonna privatize the wind.
The other thing as well that I did let out a big laugh at is their machine Dorothy that they're going to release into the Twisters.
Yeah. It's pretty much like a bunch of balls attached to a net, and that captures like the GPS thing. I don't know what they're capturing. What are they capturing, Carl?
Nobody's ever really been able to get data on the inside of a Twister.
Gotcha. So how it spins and stuff?
Yeah. So they're like, if we can learn how it begins and what the interior of it is, it means they can understand how it starts and ends, and thus they might be able to work out a way to give people a bigger warning than ever before on a Twister.
Yeah.
But what is so funny is Carrie Elways has stolen his design, and the reason you know it's a different design is instead of sending spheres up, little balls up into the Twister, he's sending cubes. I laughed so much when they were like, look at this guy I made. It's just a different shape.
They're doing a little newscast, and Bill goes like, "I'll fucking kill you." He's like, Carrie's like, "But they're cubes. They're cubes. How can I steal your primitive technology when I have much more high advance? Well, they're cubes. A circle wouldn't work in a tornado. It would be preposterous. To be ridiculous."
It was funny too because I was also just like, surely spheres would be better than cubes.
They would be way better.
They'd be way better.
more
Why would
aerodynamic.
cubes work?
It'd be so silly.
Pack it in, Carrie.
Oh God, Pat. Now we get our first attempt to capture the tornado. Our lovable characters go off road, I guess, to symbolize that they're not corporate shills. But they crash the car. This is a common reoccurrence, and I think we both were confused. We thought there's one Dorothy, but it seems like there's thousands.
They've got like 5.
Yeah.
And I think they lose a Dorothy every storm.
Yeah, and it's always a flat field, and then some tree comes through and just knocks it off the thing.
They
go,
always-
nuts! Dorothy got knocked over. Bugger. All right, we'll leave it to go. We'll get the next one.
Their issue seems to be they keep getting too close, which you'd think would be perfect for them to use Dorothy.
Yeah.
So I don't know why this keeps
I guess they don't want to lose a car. They do end up losing a car at the end, but I feel like there should be a better way for this. It's weird the corporate one also is doing the same thing of just like, we're going to drive in and hope we can plump it down quickly.
It feels so cool to see the first Twister. And from afar, the effects on the Twisters look pretty good, I think. And this bridge scene, I think, is fun. And I love, I think the tension sort of ramps up a bit. It's very moody. I like how over the top the music is. I'm enjoying this part, and I think this from this big tornado scene. I then didn't realize they were just going to rinse and repeat this.
It is odd.
Every 5 times.
I think the
through
middle
film.
40 is painful.
Yep.
I think they go, hey, the tension's high. We're gonna keep chasing that tornado. Before we do, let's get some brunch.
It should be. It's at nearly 2 hours. Too long.
Yeah.
This should be 90 minutes, and it should be an easy rule of 3s. Little tornado, bigger tornado, biggest tornado.
Yes.
And it should just be that, and I'd be more than happy. 5?
It's quite a few
Living through
tornadoes.
5 tornadoes?
And here's the thing, when you know there's an F5 and we start an F2, you go, okay, well, I'm keen to see F4, maybe, but F3, don't even fuck around. And when we get to F3, the second one we see, they're like, it's invisible. We can't even see this one. And then it just pops in.
Yeah, it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't know what to even say. This just, I guess we learn a bit more about the characters, but do we?
Yeah.
The-
And
honestly-
also, do we care about these characters?
No, because I think the film goes immediately, right, the new wife, she's out, and we just want Bill Paxton and Joe to get together.
Which it seems odd that the conflict is to have them getting divorce papers signed and bring along his new wife. It's so 90s. It's maybe the 90s plot, most 90s plot point ever.
I love it so much. The fact that just like, honestly, if this thrill of the tornadoes dies out, so does our marriage. But at the moment, we're on a fucking chasing an F5. We couldn't be more in love. I can tell you right now, when the film ends, they have signed that divorce papers. They've kissed, signed, and then Bill goes up back and kills himself. That's the only way he can do it. Or becomes a weatherman again.
So how we keep on sort of progressing through the movie is they just keep chasing tornadoes.
Yes.
And the tornadoes keep differentiating themselves in 2 ways, in just a few ways. So this one was one in a field.
Yep.
The next one is 2 over the water merging in front of them on a bridge.
It splits.
And this is where we see the cow, which I feel like is the famous thing from the movie. Is like, the flying cow.
Yeah.
Big moo.
Yeah.
You know, after we
Not a boo, a moo.
a moo. After this, we both watched the Universal Twister attraction.
Which has been replaced, I think, by Armageddon and surely to be replaced again by something else very soon.
But the cow was there.
Cow was there.
The cow was there, and the crowd went
great.
wild for
Of
it.
course. You have to go crazy for the cow. Now, we do you want to try about this brunch scene that happens? I guess we learn a bit about the
So after
the
this,
other
they go
characters.
to the aunt's house.
Yes.
Who just cooks up, I don't know, I want to say $500, $600 worth of steak and 70 eggs.
It was a 90s Carlin rule. That she's like, I just killed that cow. It came flying down from the sky. I just carved it up. That was free.
So
God.
weird. All of the guys are just like, please let us go see your aunt. Please.
I feel like you're you're forgetting that these must be very odd men.
I know.
Because they're chasing storms for the fun of it. And of course they have no social interaction. Like, can't we bum at your aunt's house and get free grub? Come on, I'm famished. We just chased 2 storms. It's split into 2. That's 3 tornadoes.
They're like, we haven't eaten since the divorce papers got signed.
And that was an hour ago.
I feel like steak and eggs. Give me steak and eggs.
I gotta tell you, it kind of looks gross, but looks fucking good as well.
It'd be so weird because he essentially turns to his fiance and is like, I guess we're going to my ex-wife's aunt's house. They get there and he's like, I love my ex-wife's aunt. I love my ex-wife's aunt so much. Oh, my ex-wife's aunt, give me a hug. Like, she's like, I've missed you, Bill.
Bill Paxton, I don't think they went through a divorce. I think Bill must have just one day left because it seems like he's back in a big way. I feel bad for the wife, though. She goes up to him because they start sharing stories about how Bill used to fuck tornadoes hard. He would go pussy on that goddamn tornado. And the wife's like, I've never heard these stories.
Yeah.
I thought these were just metaphors. Like, nah, man, I chased mad tornado tail. I'd fuck it to smithereens. I'm pretty disgusting when it gets to tornadoes. Right up in there. And Joe's like, yeah, you were, you dirty little slut. And Joe and his new wife is just, man, one more tornado and that's it.
She's like, I'd never fuck a tornado. And I'm also like, fair enough.
Yeah.
She's rightly not impressed by, they tell this story that they think I get is the funniest story. And they're like, he walks up to a tornado and he's like, want a drink? And throws a bottle into it and goes up and it doesn't even land. And they're like, it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, littering? Is littering the coolest thing we've ever seen?
Okay, so Bill Paxton's committing crimes, it seems, and that's some sort of cool thing. Well, not in my books, man. Not in my books.
I don't root for Bill because
No.
I don't root for tosses.
This is a turning point for the film.
This is big.
And I think finally we're on the tornado side and the newly ex-wife side.
Yeah. We do get... Is the reason that the fiance's a therapist is because she psychoanalyzes their relationship?
I think that's the 90s of it all. I think because I guess therapists were lame because, like, you're going to therapy? Be a man. Just, No, but I do like the gag because I think for the first tornado, she's in it because she's client's like, oh, I think I'm sad again. She's like, not now. I'm chasing a tornado. Maybe this is the life for me. 2 is too many, but I don't know. I guess it's that she's lame. It was the 90s, Carl. The Sopranos hadn't come out. When Tony Soprano went to therapy, that's when everyone went, you know what? Maybe this is for me.
Therapist got so much money after Tony Soprano was like, I see a therapist. Yeah. I don't know what to think of my wife.
Everyone's like, so I can kill and go to therapy.
It was big.
It was huge.
It was big. I do love that Helen Hunt's character is like, wow, you are going to therapy? And
she pretty much goes, you little puss.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know. And Bill Paxton's like, come on, it's not even that big of a deal.
He chases storms for a living. He should be in therapy.
100%.
Who does that?
He leaves his life the second a tornado comes into it.
He's got this great gig as a weatherman. Probably pays more.
Oh, of course.
Safer. He's got a nice wife who's a therapist. They're double income, no kids. They're going to be about the richest people in America.
It's the 90s. Holy shit! You could buy a tornado for that price.
He also doesn't even have to do any. Like, he won't actually have to do any, research when he's the weatherman. He just throws dirt in the air and he's like, yeah, Kansas is going to get swept away this weekend. Probably 21 degrees.
It'd be the most popular... Imagine that, a weatherman that knows exactly what's going to happen. He's pretty much a magician. My God.
And it's one of those things that pisses me off is you can't read the weather now. Even in 2024, the weather app's always wrong on your Apple phone.
Well, it's present day. I don't know why you had the caveat of 2024.
That's what I thought. I didn't see a single iPhone. What the fuck was that about, huh?
The weather app didn't get mentioned once.
Why weren't they constantly bringing up the weather app?
Why was no one on bomb?
They all should have been on.
You using the weather app bomb? That's what my joke was.
Yeah, I know. I've got another one.
You have another weather app?
There's another one for
Rain
the South
radar?
Coast. It's like...
Oh, yeah, that's going to land.
It's like...
No, that's going to re-land. No. Once you get that South Coast app, people are going to love that joke. People are going to be like, oh, I can relate to that. When I open my app store, I go on the South Coast app. Get a goddamn job, you piece of shit. And move to Sydney, okay?
Sorry, Dad. I would have said a joke you would have loved, but Oscar wouldn't let it happen. Let me know if you listen to this episode.
Oh, he's not listening. I sent him a text. He said he didn't mention the app.
Yeah, he listened to one recently, and he was like, "Guys, it's not good." He was like, "Pack it up." He's like, "This show." He was like, "How many people listen to it?" He's like, "That's ridiculous." No, they don't.
I imagine him just listening on a big iPad, no headphones, just out of the speaker. We pretty much get we at the bit where they go to the movie theater now.
They have that one where she's like, I have to catch this tornado so it feels like I'm saving my dad.
Oh, yes.
Where she just says how she's feeling.
Matt, again, this is over open radio. Bill Paxton goes, 1, this is a metaphor for our relationship. And guess what? It's strong, and we should definitely keep dating after this. And 2, your dad's dead.
And he's never coming back. He couldn't hold that door down during an F2, let's face it.
He was a weak man and a weaker at the door. That door had more... That hinge? Yeah, that was your dad's backbone.
What was that hinge ever going to do? He was an idiot. Just an idiot. Let alone strength, but his sheer just being able to build was way off.
I remember him pissing himself. I saw it. The piss was all in the tornado.
We all saw the same flashback, Helen. Get over it.
It went in his face a little. He tasted it too. The cow also smacked him in the face with his udders.
But yeah, she hears that the fiance hears this entire conversation and is like, oh my god, they're both. I
like they've made her a therapist so they can be like, wow, she can understand things on awry. We all know it's doomed. He didn't need any qualifications to see that.
She must just be like, just if I get a part of this, it's just not going to go well.
She must be looking at this stinky this commune going, yeah, I'm going to go home.
Philip Seymour Hoffman keeps on sort of like coming at her with greasy hands, and she's just like, I've had enough. Like, you've sucked down like 40 Diet Cokes in front of me today. Like, just stop.
Yeah, and it's not even like, isn't she posh city girl? It's just like, God,
you can't even say, it's posh city girl. She gave it a chance.
Yeah.
She chased 3
storms.
She
almost died. She was like, that was a rush. I'm alive. And by the 3rd, she's like, listen, guys, I saw someone die. We've got to call it quits. You all said you've never seen an F5, and now there's an F5. I'm a beginner. You wouldn't put a beginner on a double black, and you know what? I'm out of here.
She woke up that morning being like, we'll have this papers signed by 10. Might go for a nice little breakfast. I'll come home. Maybe we'll get a ham, and I'll just cook a nice dinner, and maybe we'll watch Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And it's just like, by the end of the day, she's like, a 4th tornado for me to experience? My car's nearly trashed. We've nearly seen like 11 people die. Bombs have gone off around you and you're falling back in love with her? Get out of my life, Bill.
Yeah, but she's like, Bill, this isn't working. I want a divorce. Bill goes... And she goes, you know what? I thought I'd feel something, but I haven't.
She's so flat out just like, oh God, I really thought I'd feel bad about this, but I don't. After the day that I have, I don't feel anything for you. Of
course not.
Bill Paxton sort of grabs her and is like, thank God you said it first, man.
He pretty much turns around, runs into a tornado like, oh God, come here, baby.
Helen, we good. We good, Helen.
We can do a threesome with that tornado. I'm going to make it suck me off. We go to, I guess they're feeling defeated. No one can get this tornado. They're like, let's just call it quits. The tornado keeps fading in and out. It's quite like a fun one of like, tornado's disappeared. He'll come back though. We know how wind works.
We just keep getting these sort of highs and lows of the tornadoes, and by this time, like the tornado at the movie theater is awesome. I think that might be like the best tornado at the movie.
Yeah,
like it's
I think because
the most set.
It was props. Yeah, that's right. Like it is a flat. They kind of went, it's a lot of flatness and there's kind of nothing.
Yeah.
Whereas this one's like, here's a house, here's a big shed.
Yeah,
this car.
The Shining is like tearing off and flying away.
Really
it looks
fun.
cool.
Yeah.
One of the things that really throws me when people are running around here is I'm like, just close your eyes. I'm like, things are gonna get in your eyes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of splinters around.
They're good. I mean, because they've used like a practical wind set, so they kind of are like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Have we gone into like the concussions and stuff of the movie? Surely this wasn't a safe set.
No. I was reading all the Wikipedia stuff. It seemed like a lot of people got hurt.
Yeah.
Helen Hunt just really hurt herself. She's like, man, that wasn't safe. It wasn't safe at all. The stunts look great because I think they're driving through corn and they kind of jump out the cornfield.
But tough to do when the door's sort of closing in on you.
Yeah, you're trying to like push the door open as the corn's brushing up against it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I have to jump from this soon. It cuts before they do it, and you can kind of go.
Because I don't think it can be done.
No.
I think the door would just crush you and you'd go under the wheel or something.
Yeah.
I don't think it can be done.
No.
But yeah.
But this is fun. I feel like maybe I was just feeling, but maybe I didn't know what rating this was, but I thought a lot of these like sort of extras would die, but really not many.
I thought it was going to be a little bit more Jurassic Parky, and people would get picked off throughout the movie.
It's quite wholesome. I feel like it's quite. You feel like it probably wouldn't be PG-13.
I think it's weird because I don't think the movie has like an all is lost moment.
Well, it is wind,
Well, I feel like maybe somebody from their crew should be dead, and they like should have broken maybe their last chance, and they have to rebuild it quickly.
Yeah,
like we can give it one more shot.
It does feel quite weird tension. Again, I don't think they established the multiple Dorothys.
It feels like they should have then panned out to like another 5 and been like, we've got 5 chances today.
Yes, exactly.
But maybe they did that, and I was writing notes. Like
I
don't know.
think I saw that.
I don't think I saw.
I'm
both
happy
of
to
us were
dock
confused.
the film. Yeah, that's the thing.
That is.
But yeah, we're just sort of left. They're all sort of gathered around. I mean, it doesn't even feel like it's a chase as well. Because I feel like Jonas and them, because they should be like, oh, we should try and fight this tornado. But they're just sort of in the background. They're sort of slowly convoy towards it to the end of the film.
Should we talk about the Carrie Elways of it all?
Oh yes, I think we should. We know he's gonna die. We're keen for to see.
He was so smarmy. I was like, in a 90s movie, you're gonna have a needlessly gruesome death.
Oh yeah, and we're all here for it.
Who would have thought, though, the person with the most gruesome death would be his kind friend?
It's so cruel. It's okay. So pretty much all his like entourage goes, man, that's too dangerous. Carrie is in the car with this guy, and he's on the like Bill Paxton's like, get away from it, you're gonna die. And the guy on the radio is like, I think we should turn back around. And Carrie's like, no, we're gonna do it. And then a girder flies from the sky, and you go, here comes Carrie's demise. Goes for the passenger, really right in the face. It's the most gruesome death. And Carrie's just like, nuts, I better not get sucked up. And he kind of just gets sucked off screen. It's needlessly cruel.
They get sucked up and then smash down and blow up.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because nobody's died in the movie yet. And that friend, all he did the entire movie was like, oh, their car's tipped over. Should we stop and see if they're okay? And
He's
Carrie's
always-
like, keep driving.
I guess being complicit is the real villain,
It is.
Yeah.
He should have. It's also weird. Carrie Elways was like, we're not in any trouble. We'll keep going. And the tornado was just next to them.
Yeah.
I was like, surely he even thought he was going to die.
I don't know. Yeah.
What was his plan?
Well, that's the thing. His plan has been to seem to copy Bill because you would copy Bill. He's a magician. But I don't know what his plan was. He drives towards it. He's like, because has he got the balls on his back as well?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's weird that their plan wasn't to be like, so we've got 5 shots at this. Let's surround the tornado.
You
put
never.
one-
No. That's Tornado 101. You cannot corral a tornado. You're gonna spook it, and it's gonna lash out.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I apologize for my
Yeah.
stupid idea.
Yeah. When I said we've done no research, I do have a degree in this thing.
You do.
Okay.
You love weatherology.
You don't want to spook a tornado.
It
Okay.
is. And I know it's weatherology and not meteorology because meteorology is about meteors.
Or meat. We don't know.
Prove me wrong. I've never looked it up. Why would I know? I'm just a humble guy that saw Twister today.
They kind of just pretty easily get the thing down.
They successfully do it. It seems like they could have just scattered all the balls just around. And one
Yeah,
or two
Bill
would go
knew where
in.
they were going. It feels like one, they drive, 20 kilometers that way, plonk it down, step away from it.
They run into a barn. Great gag. There's just sharp things everywhere, and they're
really
like,
fun.
hard no,
Yeah.
let's not.
They're running around. It looks really fun, the CGI.
looks great.
It looks like they've got the animatronic fences. They're kind of like,
Yeah,
they're moving
they're
around.
fun.
They're really fun.
Yeah.
The CGI, who gives a shit?
1996.
Yeah.
Like it's when the practical effects are working, they look awesome.
Oh, sorry,
So-
the best one of the whole
Oh
thing.
yeah, we totally forgot
Oh my
about
god.
this.
Okay, so a CGI house rolls in front of them. You're like, okay, here we go. And then the scene kind of cuts back to it, and it's just a full house on the road. They drive a car through the house. It's terrific.
It's magnifique.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so speed.
Yeah.
It's so like, oh yeah, this guy made speed.
Oh yeah, and you can be like, you can turn your nose up and be like, oh, how ridiculous. this is just
Cool
so
as hell.
fun.
Cool
It's
as hell.
so fun. There's nothing wrong with this. It's
Everything's
great.
out the window. We just saw Carrie
We see
Elway's
literally out the
die.
window. They
Yeah,
drive
it
out
is.
of a
They
window
drive
of the
out
house.
the window. It's everything you could ever want from a movie.
Anyway, we've left with our two protagonists. They've tied themselves to a pipe.
Yep.
They go, the pipe's pretty deep, so we'll be fine. It seems like the F5 is not really pretty chill.
Seems like they should be really worried about being impaled by like anything.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like all of those sharp objects still went away in the house.
Oh yeah,
They're
and then
still...
sucked into this thing.
Yeah.
Also, it seems like an F5 can suck you like pretty hard. I'm sure that the belt they've got on them would just tear them
Yeah,
apart.
I feel like could they get ripped in half? Yeah. Pretty good stuff.
But they conquered the wind. They conquered the wind because they saw the eye of the storm.
Yeah. It's pretty... It was a weird moment when they're looking up into the eye of the storm and they're like, wow, this is what we did it for. And I'm like, you guys are so close to death.
So close
Should be
to
in a
death.
panic. You were both sort of rocked from the other times you almost died today.
Yeah.
I think it would have been hilarious to see her dad flying around. Being like, I'm still
Oh my
stuck
God,
in the
help me,
storm."
help me, Jesus Christ.
He's aged like
Yeah.
40 years. He's like, I've never stopped riding this storm. Somebody help me.
I'm so dizzy. I'm really dizzy. And you think you get used to it? No. 20 years later, I'm still a little dizzy.
I've survived off the occasional flames and cow that flies in.
You wouldn't believe how many cow. I've had a lot of whoppers. I'm having a lot of whoppers.
Like a lot of wheat gets sucked up here, and by the time it gets to me, it's just turned into bread.
Yeah, no, it gets milled pretty quickly. I'll be
does.
honest, I've eaten quite well up here.
Quite well, but it sucks because I've thrown it up immediately. Here we go again. God, I'm dizzy. And also, then they make out.
They make out.
Everyone's like, you did everything you set out to do from the beginning of the movie, and they're like, sick, let's make out. And they're like, directed by this guy. And you're like, nice, they nailed it.
Carl, who would watch Twister?
I think if you're a fan of disaster movies, Twister's great fun.
Yeah.
I think it is too long. I think it doesn't really know what it's doing in the middle of the movie. But
No.
it's actually pretty camp, and the beginning of it moves at such a fast, fun pace.
I feel like I was really
I was super into
like,
it.
There's just like corporate shills. We're gonna jit this storm way better, and I just love all the jargon they throw at you because no one knows anything about storm chasing. And the film goes, "We're gonna hold your hand. You're gonna freak out when you see an F5." I'm like, I did freak out when I saw an
Yeah.
F5.
So I'm actually really... It was one of those things where I went, look, this concept is good and it was fun here. I really hope they get to elevate it with Twisters.
Yes.
Like, if Twisters is just bad, that'll be a real shame to me, because I think all the ingredients for a fun time are here in this movie,
Yes.
and they're not at their peak.
Well, I mean, what do we just see? Roadhouse? I really am terrified they're going to do that. I just think you've really got to lean into the schlock of it all, of it's just a bunch of wind. And really, if you wanted to, you could just not be near the wind.
Yeah. I think the other thing I really enjoyed in this movie is it is just sort of set in small town America, which is just a fun setting for the middle of... Like, there's so many open roads for them to drive in. It's big sprawling fields.
Yeah.
You know, it means that you've got this sort of clash of personalities throughout the movie. I think there's so much that can be done here. So I think it's a really fun time. So yeah, look, I think if you have any sort of interest in seeing a disaster movie, that's who this was for. And obviously they nailed it.
Yeah. It made so much money.
It is really funny as well because I think for the time, this was probably like a special effects extravaganza as much as any.
I
of
guess
the
that's
other
what.
ones.
I guess because you kind of go. The reason people are seeing it is because like looks great.
Yeah.
We should all go see that.
Which is funny because now it means Twisters. It does not look like a special effects extravaganza. Effects look good.
Yeah.
But it means that they've got to sell you now on a good time at the movies.
Yes.
So
Or just actually the actual characters and go,
Yeah,
let's
that's
see
right.
how this works. Because it could work great. Because one, they keep running them. Like, I don't think it's a horror film. They keep running into the storm.
yeah, it
Like, there's so much
feels like
land.
that feels like the storm has a vendetta on them.
Oh, yeah.
So it's weird, like
But they're going, well, we're gonna go into the middle of you.
Yeah.
That's our goal. We're gonna invade your private space. And yeah, you know what? Fair enough. The storm's a bit pissed.
yeah, and you can't get angry at people dying from the storm. You chose to go in
Yeah,
there.
100%.
Oscar, who would watch Twister?
You know what? I guess if you're into storms, if you're into storm chasing, you really got to check this one out. I think they haven't checked this one out, and I think that's something that really is silly about them. I think if you really are going to the movies and you really like storms, go out and check this one out, I don't think they've seen it or heard about it.
I would have loved it if storm chasers were the only ones that had seen it. So it's one of those things that didn't realize there was a real untapped potential of $500 million worth of people being like, oh, I'm a storm chaser. I'll see me depicted
Yeah.
up on the screen.
Everyone was like, man, it's like the people want to see themselves as a superhero. It's like, no, I want to see myself as a real me, a storm chaser.
They're like, wow.
I'm excited for Glenn Powell to capture that market again.
Oh, he'll nail it. He'll be like, wow, he really nailed the wonder it was to see a cow fly.
Carl, let's figure out the schedule because we're going to figure out what we're doing.
We're going to figure out what we're doing. There's some trips coming up and things that need to be planned.
Yes.
So we haven't decided what we're watching next,
Yep.
but we do take listener requests. So always you can email us at
askwwwtpodcast@gmail.com.
You can also find it in the show notes. That's like we're nailing this.
Yes.
We're nailing it, huh? We've now got show notes.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
Huh?
Yeah.
We've got really, really poorly typed, sometimes not spell checked
Whoa.
show notes.
Hey, sometimes I upload it late, and I'm not. I don't want to use ChatGPT, but I think you can tell because it's me doing 3 sentences and a bit of a bit.
Sometimes I think it isn't the Fast and Furious ones you've just written vroom.
Yeah, you can
You
read
nailed it.
I mean, because I'm not gonna write the plot out. You know, that's what we're here for.
Paul Walker's an American.
Thanks for listening.